We are back for another UFC preview and predictions. The last fight night before the 1 week break the UFC takes for Thanksgiving. The main event this weekend, you got Ketlen Vieira taking on Miesha Tate. Potentially, maybe Miesha Tate gets a title shot with the win. Possibly, who knows? But that is your main event, your co-main event. Tremendous fight at welterweight. Michael Chiesa taking on the undefeated Sean Brady. It is a 12-fight card. And before we get into it, folks, gonna check out last week. I mean, not our best card. We went 6-5, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we had the Ben Rothwell loss. I picked Baeza to beat Chaos Williams, didn't go our way. Joel Alvarez got a big win. Hey, we got the Andrea Lee fight right and the Courtney Casey fight right. Wasn't too confident about those two. Sean Woodson won. I mean, we didn't get Nzejuku right, but still 6-5 is a pretty solid week. So now let's look to rebound here this Saturday night. So our first fight of the night is at women's strawweight is between Luana Pinheiro and Sam Hughes. For Luana Pinheiro, her last fight, it's a win over Randa Marcos in a fight where she wins by DQ. It's the illegal up kick from Randa Marcos. Pinheiro gets the win, and hey, Randa Marcos just picked up a win over Lavinia Souza, but I think she just got cut from the promotion. Kind of weird, but yeah, Pinheiro won the fight. Was she winning beforehand? Yes, she was. She had top positioning. She scored 5 takedowns in that first round. Marcos, though, hits her with the up kick. Yeah, it was an illegal up kick. It's kind of weird, though, because Pinheiro gets hit. It appears like she's all right, and then she kind of falls back, and then it's like, oh, it's like the Aljamain Sterling effect. I don't know. But Pinheiro was able to land those takedowns against Randa Marcos. The problem is she couldn't keep top control at any point in that fight. She was outstriking Randa Marcos for the very few moments the fight did last, and that's really been Pinheiro's only fight so far in the promotion. She fought in the contender before that, winning by KO against Stephanie Frosto, winning that one in about 2 minutes. Pinheiro striking pretty solid, and her ground game is very good as well. And you look at her opponent here in Sam Hughes, fighter who is 5-3. She comes in on short notice after winning on LFA 93. Turns around 2 months later, she takes on Tecia Torres. Torres on short notice. She loses. It's Tecia Torres, I believe, first ever TKO finish. It's a doctor stoppage. The eye of Sam Hughes swelled up pretty badly, so Tecia Torres gets the win after only 1 round. And then they book Sam Hughes against Emily Whitmire after. She's probably going to win that fight, but that fight got canceled. She took on Loma Lookboonmee instead, who's on later on in this card. She lost. Then they booked her against Lupita Godinez. That fight didn't happen. Hughes had to pull out, and Godinez we're going to talk about later on as well. That woman keeps on taking fights, which is nuts, but Hughes has only had those 2 fights in the UFC. It is the Tecia Torres loss, and it is the Loma Lookboonmee fight. If you look at the Torres fight, she got outstruck pretty heavily in that fight, and the same can be said about the Loma Lookboonmee fight. Lookboonmee outstruck her. She outgrappled her as well. Even though Sam Hughes did have her moments on the ground, that's how she did win around in that fight, reversing positioning on the ground after a Lookboonmee takedown. So again, it is entirely possible Sam Hughes could win this fight against Luana Pinheiro, but you break it down, I think the striking advantage has got to go to Luana Pinheiro. I think the grappling advantage too is going to go to Pinheiro as well. Even if Sam Hughes will have her moments on the ground, Pinheiro's jiu-jitsu is pretty solid. She has got 5 submission victories to her name, and I know, again, she beat Randa Marcos, and it was a weird circumstance in that fight, but still, I think Pinheiro is better than Sam Hughes. I think Hughes is going to get her 3rd loss in the UFC, and we're going to go with Luana Pinheiro to beat Sam Hughes to open up the card by decision. Now we have got Shayilan taking on Sean Soriano. For Soriano, coming back to the UFC after that long hiatus. His last fight in the UFC before his return was in 2015, where he lost to Charles Rosa by Darce choke. That was a long time ago. That was on Conor McGregor versus Dennis Seaver in Boston, Massachusetts. But after that, Soriano picks up some wins in independent promotions. You got Legacy, CES, UAE Warriors. He comes back, that fight night card, or the pay-per-view in Houston. He loses to Christos Giagos. Okay, Giagos beats him in. All right, Christos Giagos is like a borderline top 25, top 20 guy. Just fought Arman Sarukian in his last fight, and it's a good one for Giagos. He submits Sean Soriano. Giagos is winning for the most part on the feet. I mean, it's pretty back and forth on the feet. Eventually lands a takedown. It only takes him a minute to get the submission. He puts in the Darce choke in the second round and submits Sean Soriano very early on in the prelims for that card. Now, Sean Soriano has had 4 fights in the UFC. Now, given only one of them has been in the last 6 years, but you look back to 2014 and 2015 respectively. You got his first 3 fights. The first one he gets submitted in about 6 minutes. He gets subbed in the second round. The Chaz Skelly loss, he gets outgrappled throughout that entire fight. And the Charles Rosa fight, yeah, Soriano has his moments on the feet, but Charles Rosa eventually lands a takedown, submits Sean Soriano with the Darce with about 17 seconds left in that card, or in that fight. That's been the problem with Sean Soriano. Yeah, is his striking good? Yeah, it definitely is. But when he gets to the ground, he's been subbed 5 times in his career. He's been subbed 3 times in the UFC, twice outside the promotion as well. He got subbed in CES for the Featherweight Championship back in 2018. It's just concerning when you're taking on a guy in Shayilan, who that's really all he does. Yeah, given his Shayilan have some good striking, sure, but you saw in the Kulibao fight, Shayilan's striking is not the greatest. I mean, Kulibao struck him 87-23 in that fight. That's not how I think Shayilan's got a good chance to win this fight. It's through the takedowns. Now, Shayilan shot 14 takedowns against Joshua Kulibao in their fight. He only landed 2 of them, but he had 6 minutes of control in that one, and that's how he won a round. Shayilan was somewhat competitive with Josh Kulibao in that one because of his wrestling and because of his grappling. I mean, how do you beat Sean Soriano? It's that exact same game plan. And yes, does Shayilan have the best wins outside the UFC? No, the guys you fight in WLF, they're not great. Even, I mean, he had the Rongju fight where he loses by KO in the first round, but Rongju, pretty solid fighter in his own right. The guy's like, what, 20 years old? He just won his last fight over a PFL vet, Brandon Jenkins. Rongju's good, and Shayilan got knocked out in the first round. No shame in that. I just think it's stylistically a horrible matchup for Sean Soriano. I believe Soriano was a favorite coming into this one. I don't see it. Yeah, you got Shayilan at plus 205 right now. Hell, man, I think Shayilan's going to win this fight. I think the takedowns are going to be huge. I think he's going to be able to sub Sean Soriano. I just think that's going to be what's going to happen here because, again, if you're able to land those takedowns against Kulibao, I definitely think you're going to be able to land the takedowns against Soriano, given he shot 14 times and he only landed 2 of those takedowns. I don't care. You keep on shooting. I think Shayilan's going to be able to get it against Soriano. I think he's going to be able to consistently, again, get the fight to the mat. I'm going to go Shayilan. I picked him to beat Kulibao by submission a couple months ago. I'm going to pick him to beat Soriano by submission as well. We're going to go second round sub for Shayilan. Now at flyweight, we have got Cody Durden and Aoriqileng. And for Aoriqileng, coming into his last fight, he was fighting in WLF, picking up wins. He drops down to flyweight to take on a very tough fighter in Jeff Molina. He loses the fight by unanimous decision, but it's a war on the feet. Aoriqileng's got his moments on the feet as well and on the ground, but in the end, Jeff Molina does win. He knocks down the Mongolian Murderer a couple times in that fight, and the Mongolian Murderer comes up a little bit short in that one, but he rocks Jeff Molina very late in that fight, has Molina stunned. It's that Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards effect where it's like, damn, if Aoriqileng had a couple more minutes at the end of that fight or a couple more seconds, he might have been able to finish Jeff Molina. So that's Aoriqileng's UFC run so far. Again, coming in from WLF Wars. He's 18-8 in his pro career, and he's taking on a guy here in Cody Durden, who Durden's coming off that loss to Jimmy Flick, and Flick now has retired from MMA, but Flick with that flying triangle choke, incredible finish late into 2020. Durden has not fought since. His first time in the UFC was a draw to Chris Gutierrez. Close fight, but Gutierrez and Durden go to a unanimous draw. Gutierrez outstriking Durden in that fight. Durden finding the takedown successfully in that one as well. In the Durden-Flick fight, Durden is outstriking Flick until Flick, of course, landed the flying arm triangle choke, and that was the end of the night for Cody Durden. Before that, for Durden, he was fighting in NFC Fight Promotions. And he was winning a lot over there. His last fight was in Georgia in the main event. He beat John Sweeney by KO in the very first round. I think this is a good fight, man. Cody Durden brings it on the feet. He'll bring it on the ground as well. Same can be said about the Mongolian Murderer. I mean, he's got wins by submission. He's got wins by KO as well. And for Aoriqileng, again, his best, I would say some of his moments of success in the Molina fight was on the ground. Given, do I think he's able to out-grapple Cody Durden? Probably not, but on the feet, this is an absolutely insane fight. I mean, Durden, a lot of pressure on the feet. Same can be said about the Mongolian Murderer, especially in Aoriqileng. His last fight was nuts on the feet against Jeff Molina. I think we're going to see a lot of the same pace really out of Aoriqileng through 258 strikes in that fight with Molina, given Molina through 356. But I think this is going to be a war on the feet. Durden's going to bring it. Same with Aoriqileng. And you know what? We're going to go back-to-back wins here for China. We're picking Aoriqileng to beat Cody Durden. I think the pace and the style that Aoriqileng just bringing the feet is going to give Durden some problems. And yeah, we're going to go with Aoriqileng to pick up the win. I think he's going to win by decision. Should be a fun fight, though. Fun fight now between Ziam and Terrence McKinney. And for Terrence McKinney, coming into the UFC, it's the win over Matt Frivola. 7 seconds. That's all it took. UFC 263 in Arizona. Frivola getting knocked out pretty quickly by Terrence McKinney. McKinney took that fight on super short notice as well. That fight was at 155, and of course Terrence McKinney staying 155 here for the Ziam fight. He fought some at LFA, I believe that catchweight 160. Yeah, his last fight at LFA was a catchweight fight. He won that one in a minute. Before that, picking up one in LFA as well. 17-second finish by head kick, and before that, oh yeah, 16-second knockout as well. Terrence McKinney McKinney is here to fight, and he's always going to have quick fights. I mean, the last fight for Terrence McKinney to go to the 3rd round, you got to go all the way back to his 4th career fight against Brandon Todd, where he won by heel hook in the 3rd round. This guy has been so damn good, and you look at his losses, man. Recently, it's Derek Minner, tremendous ground fighter, one of the best grapplers really in the weight class. Derek Minner is a monster on the ground. And then also Sean Woodson. I mean, right? And I know Derek Minner just lost the last fight to Darren Elkins, but still, it's no easy fight outside the UFC. And Sean Woodson looked very good in the Colin Anglin fight just last week. So, Terrence McKinney, tremendous opponent outside the UFC too, and he keeps winning. Those last 4 fights, all about a minute. I mean, the longest fight that Terrence McKinney has had in his last 5 fights was 1 minute and 12 seconds. Nuts. I mean, you don't see the power out of a guy at 155 like Terrence McKinney does have. Now, it's not just the striking at Terrence McKinney too. McKinney's got a very underrated ground game as well that might give Ziam some problems. And you look at Ziam, he's coming off that win over Luigi Venturini. Now, he barely wins that one by split decision. We picked Ziam to win that one. It's such a close fight to score. It really is. I mean, you give the first round to Ziam. I see you give the second round to Ziam. You give the third round to Luigi Venturini. It's the second round really that's the turnaround for me. It wasn't that good of a fight. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Venturini lands that one takedown the 3rd. I think Ziam won, but still was a close fight. You look at his fight before that against Jamie Mullarkey. He wins it by unanimous decision. Now, you can debate the scorecards all you want for that fight, but it's a win for Ziam, his first fight in the UFC. It's a loss to Don Madge, the now PFL fighter in Don Madge. Ziam loses by unanimous decision. Another fight that's not all that great. It's all groundwork for Don Madge in that fight. And yeah. Will Ziam be out-controlled by Terrence McKinney on the ground in this fight? I don't know, because I don't think McKinney's really going to go to the ground game. And yes, Ziam does have some submissions under his belt, but really in his last couple of fights, he hasn't been that all great on the ground. But I just don't think Terrence McKinney's that guy to go in there and shoot for takedowns. I think this is going to be a striking fight. And you look at what Terrence McKinney's done recently, who's to say that Ziam's going to be the guy that can weather the storm? I don't think he's going to be. Again, I thought Frevola was going to have a good shot to beat Terrence McKinney. Didn't happen. I think McKinney's going to come in here aggressive like he always does early in the first round, and I think he's probably going to put away Ziam. I think his striking's way better than Ziam. I think his power's better than Ziam, and if he has to result to the ground game as well, I like Terrence McKinney down there too. So I'm going to go Terrence McKinney finishing Ziam. I mean, hell, this guy hasn't seen a second round since the Sean Woodson fight. If you don't like the Sean Woodson fight, last time he got out of the second round was his 4th fight in his pro career. He has never gone to the judges' scorecards. I don't think we're going to see a decision in this one either way. Actually, if Ziam wins, it'll probably be a decision, but still, I think Terrence McKinney's going to beat Ziam. I think he gets it done with the first round knockout. And Lupi Godinez is back again. I mean, nuts, right? It's her 4th fight or 3rd fight in the last month. I mean, you look at her schedule, she loses to Jessica Penne. It's a fight where, okay, Godinez won that one, let's be real, but hey, Jessica Penne wins, and can't believe it, but Jessica Penne's ranked again. She's like number 14 in the weight class. Insane. But Godinez comes back just last month. She beats Sylvania Gomez Juarez by armbar in the first round. Okay. She fights the week after, short notice, up a weight class at 125. She loses to Luana Carolina, and a month later, she's back. Insane. She's taking on Loma Lookboonmee now, and it's not an easy fight at all, because Loma Lookboonmee's good. She is really good. She's only lost once in the UFC. She's 3-1. The one loss to Angela Hills in the top 10 of the division. You got wins over Sam Hughes, who again isn't the greatest. I know she's fighting earlier on this card, but she's not great. I mean, she's a good fighter, but like, compared to some of the other opponents at the weight class. Okay. She's got the win over Jinyu Fry. Jinyu Fry's picked up a win in her last fight. Against lost to Angela Hill in the win over Alexandra Albu in her first fight. Albu, excuse me, over in Singapore. It's a split decision win on that Maya and Askren card. And yeah, Lookboonmee, you know her for her Muay Thai, of course, training out of Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. It's that simple. The Muay Thai is very good. The kickboxing is very good. Lookboonmee's takedowns, solid as well, but against Godinez, I don't think she's going to go down there. She's not going to want to go on the ground with Lupita Godinez. Now, when Lupita Godinez usually does fight, or at least her last couple fights in the UFC, she has been the smaller fighter, especially her last fight against Luana Carolina. I mean, Luana Carolina weighs 125 pounds, or she is a flyweight. Godinez is a strawweight, honestly. So, Godinez is what, 5'2", Lookboonmee is 5'1". For once, Lupita Godinez will come to this fight as the bigger fighter. It hasn't been the case in her last couple of fights, especially in the Carolina fight. And same can be said about Jessica Penne, who is a pretty big 115 or fairly big 115 pounder. She's 5'5". Godinez is what, 5'2", 5'1". So still, But again, Godinez is not going to be the smaller fighter in this one. Now, how does she beat Lookboonmee? Pretty simple. She's going to have to take her down. Now, she's going to have to close the distance with Lookboonmee, which I don't think is going to be too big of a problem, and she's going to have to try to land that takedown, because you saw Luana Carolina fight. I mean, that was her only chance of winning that fight. She had 7 minutes of control in that one, which was huge, but the portions of that fight that were on the feet, of course, Carolina was winning, and I think the same can be said about this fight with Lookboonmee. It's just simple. Can Godinez get the takedown? If she gets the takedown, how long will she be able to control Lookboonmee on the ground? Because I think if she does land the takedown, I think she's going to have so much success on the ground. It's just a matter of can she get it or not. Because again, on the feet, Lookboonmee's striking is very good. Her takedown defense for Lookboonmee, 76% takedown defense so far in the UFC over 4 fights. It's tough picking Godinez again on short notice. She didn't have a camp for this fight, even though she just fought twice in the last month. But again, it's just tough picking Godinez. I picked her in her first 3 fights in the UFC. Unfortunately, I can't pick her in this one. I think Lookboonmee's takedown defense is going to be huge in this one. I think Lookboonmee's, of course, her Muay Thai, like every one of her fights, is going to be big. And I think Lookboonmee is going to outstrike Lupita Godinez. I think she's going to keep this one standing. And we're going to go with the Lookboonmee decision victory. All right, well, we're going to find out who's the better grappler. It's Yahya Garcia and Natan Levy. This one's simple, I think. Yahya Garcia has fought twice in the UFC. Losses to Nasrat Haqparast and Chris Gritsmacher. You look at the Haqparast fight, it's a complete stand-up fight. The fight never hits the mat. Garcia goes over 3 on his takedowns. Haqparast goes over 2. And yeah, Haqparast outstrikes Yahya Garcia for 3 rounds. I think 2 judges had it 3-0 Haqparast and 1 had it 2-1 Haqparast, but still, Nasrat wins. Yahya Garcia comes back, he fights Chris Gritsmacher. He lands 5 takedowns in that fight, 6 minutes of control, but Gritsmacher outstrikes Garcia pretty handily on the feet, and Gritsmacher picks up the win. You look at the scorecards for that fight, 29-28 across the board for Chris Gritsmacher. And you look at Natan Levy. He has not fought in over years. Last fight was on the Contender in 2020 in November of that year. It was on the 10th of November, so it has been over a year now. He picks up a win over Shayilan Santana by arm triangle choke in the 3rd round. Levy's game plan is pretty simple in that one. Constant pressure, constant takedowns. He only needs 2 takedowns in that fight. 8 minutes of control in that one. There was not much striking because it wasn't needed, because it was all takedowns for Natan Levy. He lands a takedown in the 1st round. The 2nd round, more of the same, controlling Santana throughout that 2nd, and in the 3rd, it lands a takedown pretty early, gets the, I believe it was an arm triangle choke he sunk in, and he picks up the win. So Natan Levy, still undefeated. He is 6-0 professionally. Before fighting on the Contender, he's fighting in LFA, picking up 5 straight wins over there. You've got, I believe, 3 by decision and 2 by submission for Natan Levy. Striking wise, is this one pretty even? I think Yahya Garcia is a better striker. Yeah, definitely. Now, that's not usually where Yahya Garcia wants to win fights, because he is a very good ground fighter, but on the feet, you compare these 2 guys, yeah, I'm going to give the advantage to Yahya Garcia, but I don't think this one is going to be standing for too long, because I truly think we're going to see who the better grappler is. Natan Levy does not give a damn how good Yahya Garcia potentially is on the ground. I think he's going to go in there, he's going to try to shoot takedowns, and we're going to find out early who the better grappler is, and I think we're going to figure it out in the 1st round who's going to win this fight. I really think it's that simple. Do I think we might get a finish in this one? Potentially, but both these guys are so good on the ground, I think they might cancel themselves out trying to get a finish. It's just going to be who can control the other guy on the ground. I think that guy's Natan Levy, fighting out of Syndicate MMA in Las Vegas, Nevada. I like Levy to beat Yahya Garcia. Garcia's 0-2 so far in the promotion, which again, 2 completely different fight styles than what he's going to get in the Levy fight. Gritsmacher was trying to keep the fight standing against him. Haqparast wasn't, against taking the fight to the ground, but both guys couldn't take each other down. So it was a striking fight, his first fight against Haqparast. In his 2nd fight, you got a mixture of course, the stand-up game and the ground game against Gritsmacher. But again, Garcia was outstruck by Gritsmacher in that fight, had his moments in the ground, but really, he hasn't gone up against an elite level guy on the ground, and we're going to truly see how good Yahya Garcia is on the ground. And we're gonna find out pretty quickly. We're gonna see how good Natan Levy is against a UFC caliber guy. Of course, with Yahya Garcia, we're gonna go with Natan Levy though to beat Yahya Garcia. I don't think he's gonna be able to get the finishes, considering again how good these 2 guys are on the ground. But we're gonna go with Natan Levy to outcontrol Yahya Garcia. He's gonna get the win by decision. Very fun fight now in featherweight. We have got Tucker Lutz taking on Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini's last fight, big win over Jamal Emmers. He gets dropped early in the 1st round. Jamal Emmers has got full mount against Pat Sabatini. Sabatini somehow gets out of it. He locks in a heel hook against Emmers. At the same time, though, Emmers has got a toe hold on Pat Sabatini. And as a wise man once said, Michael Bisping, toe hold, schmo hold. And yeah, I mean, hey, the heel hook won out. Pat Sabatini really worked well on that heel hook, wrenched on it, and Jamal Emmers had a tap. And yeah, Pat Sabatini picked up the win. We got that fight right, just saying. But for Sabatini's first fight, it's a win over Tristan Connolly. Pretty impressive considering how Tristan Connolly usually wins fights. Very good takedown artist, very good ground fighter in Connolly. Sabatini beat him at his own game. And again, it was a good win for Pat Sabatini. But you look at his opponent here in Tucker Lutz. Lutz coming in from the Contender. He had to fight twice on the same season in the Contender Series, winning both fights by unanimous decision. And he comes in, he wins in UFC 262 over Kevin Aguilar. It's a big win where Lutz lands the takedowns in that one. He outstrikes Aguilar as well. And it was just a very good performance. Lutz showing, hey, he can strike and he can also wrestle as well. It was a very good performance in a fight that you want to see when you're taking on a guy like Pat Sabatini. Because how do you beat Pat Sabatini? You beat him on the feet, and when you need to, you can withstand the ground attack that Pat Sabatini will bring to you. Tucker Lutz is not going to be shooting for takedowns in this Pat Sabatini fight. I can guarantee you he's not going to be doing that. If he does, he's doing himself a disservice. He should not do that. It should be all striking from Tucker Lutz, trying to avoid the takedowns that Pat Sabatini will eventually shoot at him. Pat Sabatini, again, not the best takedown artist, but eventually when he does get the fight down there, he is pretty solid. The Connolly fight, he was 1 for 5 on his takedowns. And of course, the Emmers fight didn't need a takedown because he got knocked down by Emmers in that fight. But eventually, again, if you can get Pat Sabatini on the ground, his jiu-jitsu is so damn good. The heel hook finish over Sabatini, or over Emmers, was tremendous. But yeah, I mean, that's really how you break down this fight, is really, can Lutz keep this one standing? Do you think Lutz has got the defensive wrestling to get out of certain spots, and the defensive grappling, really, to get out of certain spots against Sabatini? Because I know Lutz can strike. I know he can. Can Sabatini strike? Let's be honest, he's not the greatest at striking. Can he do it? Obviously, but he's not known for his striking, and on the feet, Tucker Lutz will have a lot of success against Pat Sabatini. It's just going to be, if Sabatini can get this one to the ground, can he finish Tucker Lutz, and can he eventually get to that fight, get the fight to the ground as well? I'm leaning towards yes. I think Sabatini should be able to get the job done there. I think eventually, he's going to work through the clinch, try to get this one down. I think he'll be able to do it. Again, I could see a world, though, where Tucker Lutz stuffs every takedown and he keeps this one standing and he outstrikes Pat Sabatini for 15 minutes. Could I definitely see that happening? Sure. Again, Lutz's offensive wrestling is good, very good. You saw that in his last one of the Contender. That's how he won his last fight on the Contender Series, winning his contract. But I just don't think he wants to be on that spot against Pat Sabatini, so that's why I think Lutz is going to have to go to the striking, which is good. It's not elite level, but still, it's better than what Sabatini's going to bring. So I think Lutz is going to have to depend on the striking, and Sabatini, of course, always has to depend on his grappling. And I think just ever so slightly, we're going to go with Pat Sabatini to win this fight against Tucker Lutz. I think it will be competitive. I think you will see Lutz having his moments in the feet, but we're going to go with the Pat Sabatini win. I think he's going to get the win by decision. Should be close, but we're going with Sabatini. Potential fight of the night at bantamweight, and this is the first really big test for Adrian Yanez. I know he got in his last fight against Randy Costa, but no disrespect to Randy Costa. He's a tremendous fighter, but Costa's still pretty young in his career. Davey Grant's been around the block. Grant has been around for a while. He's 35 years old. He's on the Ultimate Fighter season with Miesha Tate, who is in the main event, and Ronda Rousey. I think he was on Team Rousey, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, this is a very good fight. This is a very good fight because Davey Grant will give Adrian Yanez a real test. And Davey Grant, he's ended hype trains before. You go back to the Jonathan Martinez fight. Martinez has got a lot of hype rolling into that fight with him. He's got, the wins over Frankie Saenz and Thomas Almeida. You got the fight against Andre Ewell that a lot of people thought he won. So a lot of people think that Martinez should be on a 5-fight winning streak coming into that one. I thought Martinez was going to beat Davey Grant, and Davey Grant knocks him out in the second round. Now, since then, Martinez has picked up a win, but yeah, Davey Grant ended the hype train of Jonathan Martinez, at least for the moment. Martinez still 27 years old, pretty young in his career, but Grant knocks him the hell out in the second round. And I know since then he got the fight with Marlon Chito Vera. He loses that one by unanimous decision and wins fight of the night. It's a good fight. Both guys have their moments in the feet, but in the end, it was in the ground control that Marlon Chito Vera did bring in that one. That won him the fight, and since then, hey, Chito's gone on to beat Frankie Edgar, brutal Karate Kid style knockout in the first round, front kick. Oh, he front kicked him in the face, as Joe Rogan would say. And yeah, Chito looked very good in the Frankie Edgar fight. Got that one wrong, but it's all right. Now, Davey Grant and Adrian Yanez. Will Grant shoot for a takedown? I think 100% he will, because we haven't seen Adrian Yanez's ground game really tested so far in the UFC. Costa, of course, wasn't shooting takedowns against him. Lopez, I believe, shot a couple, but he couldn't land him. Rodriguez, I think he shot one. And Brady Huang in the Contender fight never got the shot because Yanez toasted him in about 40 seconds. We will see how good the takedown defense is right now for Adrian Yanez. I know he's got 100% takedown defense so far in the UFC, but it's really like 4 takedowns, and Yanez has been dominating guys in the feet. It's just last-second takedowns the guys are trying to land. Davey Grant is one of these guys, though, who knows how to land a takedown, and he's effective at doing so. Land a takedown against Marlon Vera. He landed 2 takedowns against Martin Day, 6 in his win over Gregory Popov. He landed 2 in the Stasiak fight. He landed 1 in the first Cheeto fight. That's what Davey Grant will do. Now, Davey Grant's striking is good too. You saw him in the Jonathan Martinez fight, put the lights out in the second round, and I'm not counting Davey Grant out in that part of the fight as well. I think there's a definite chance he can knock out Yanez as well, because Yanez is going to be there to be hit, right? Yanez is going to stand there. He got hit 69 times by Randy Costa. He's there to get hit. He's gonna come back though, and he's gonna trade with you, right? Yanez is striking so good. 3 fights in the UFC, 3 by knockout. Hey, we picked him all right, all by knockout. I'm just saying, but man, this is such a banger of a fight. I think someone's getting finished. I think Grant, again, we will see how good Adrian Yanez's ground game is. So I think it's going to play too big of a factor in this fight to the point where Yanez isn't going to have a chance to win this one. I don't think so, but at least it will change things up to the point where, again, we say it all the time, offensive wrestling makes your striking so much better, because if Davey Grant can land a takedown early in the fight, Yanez will always be concerned about the potential takedown that Grant can bring. And again, it will open up Adrian Yanez to taking more strikes on the feet against Grant. So it's such a good fight, man, because I think Grant really has a realistic or like a legit possibility of winning this one. However, though, I'm not picking against Adrian Yanez. Again, I picked him 3 times, all by knockout. He's delivered every single time. I think he'll beat Davey Grant, and I think he's going to knock him out. But I'm pumped for this one, man. Davey Grant has never been finished by KO. He's been finished 4 times by submission. But, I mean, you're looking at some pretty good fighters. Again, though, Grant against Yanez, Grant's got the advantage on the ground. He's not going to be submitted by Adrian Yanez. I can guarantee you that one. But still, man, banger of a fight. This should be a war on the feet. But I think Adrian Yanez is the first guy to finish Davey Grant with strikes. I think he's going to knock out Grant. He'll get it done in the second round. Continue the hype train for Adrian Yanez. Well, it is a #1 contenders fight at women's flyweight. Probably, I mean, we've got Joanne Wood, the #6 ranked fighter at women's flyweight, taking on the #9 fighter in Tyler Santos. It's either the winner of this fight or Andrea Lee is going to get the next shot. And I can see a world where Andrea Lee will get the next title shot. She's beat #5, Cynthia Calvillo. Most likely tomorrow when the rankings come out, Andrea Lee will be #5. And she's already beat Antonina, so I could definitely see them doing Lee versus Shevchenko. Or you can do the winner of this fight. I think if Joanne Calderwood wins, they'll probably move to this next. But we'll see. Or Joanne Wood, excuse me now. But yeah, I think this is going to be the winner of this fight, definitely in the short list of contenders at this weight class. If you don't get the title shot for this one, you're getting a fight against, I don't know, Ketlen Vieira, where the winner gets the title shot, because Kuchagin's on one of these runs, man, where she's stringing together a lot of wins, and to the point where, okay, Kuchagin eventually is going to have to get a rematch with Valentina eventually if she keeps winning. So I really think there's 4 real contenders right now at flyweight for the next Valentina title shot. It's not going to be Jessica Andrade. Rumors of her going back down to 115, potentially taking on Rose Namajunas, who knows. But you've got really Kuchagin, you've got Andrea Lee, Joanne Calderwood, and Tyler Santos. It's going to be one of these 4. I know Viviana Araujo's there too, but she just lost to Kuchagin too, so I don't think that one's going to be happening. We'll see, man. We will see. So starting off here with Joanne Wood, she's got the fight against Lauren Murphy, where, I mean, like, every time Lauren Murphy lucks out with the decision. I don't understand. I don't understand how this keeps happening to us. I mean, like, every time we pick against Lauren Murphy, she wins a bullcrap decision. I don't know, man. I mean, hey, Valentina beat her, but, like, I don't know. I thought Andrea Lee was going to beat her. I thought Joanne Wood was going to beat her. Didn't go our way both times. Lauren Murphy, the nickname is Lucky. I say it every time. Lucky fits Lauren Murphy because she keeps winning those damn decisions. But for Joanne Wood, she looks very good in the Jessica I fight. She outstrikes Wood. And you know, that's every Joanne Calderwood fight. She's going to come out there, a lot of volume on the feet. She's going to come out there, and she is just going to try to strike with you. It's that simple. I mean, you got the loss of her Murphy, but still, I mean, she looked very good striking in that one. I know Murphy landed that one takedown, that one of the fight. Unbelievable. I don't understand it. I truly don't understand how Lauren Murphy won that fight. She went 1 for 6 in her takedown attempts. I don't understand. But before that, Joanne Wood goes out there. She outstrikes Jessica I. She's got the fight against Jennifer Maia, where Maia, arm bars her in the first. Where's Jennifer Maia been? Like, she won a round against Valentina, and we have not seen her since. Don't know where she's at. I would suggest maybe her fight Lauren Murphy next. I don't know. But, yeah, so Wood loses to Maia. She's got the win over Andrea Lee. That gets her a title shot. The winner of that fight was getting a title shot. Wood beats Lee by split decision. Close fight. I can see a world where Lee does win the decision, but Calderwood gets the title shot. Valentina gets hurt, so instead she takes the Maia fight. She loses, and then Maia, of course, gets the title shot. And we can go through all of Wood's fights in the UFC. She fought Kuchagin in that fight, where don't really know how Joanne Calderwood didn't win that one. I mean, I know Kuchagin's striking was okay in that one too, but you look at that fight, I mean, I thought Joanne Wood won that one. Who knows? But I mean, I thought she won the first. She outstruck Kuchagin in the first and the second. I thought she won that one too. I don't know. It was a competitive second round. I can get the reasoning for Kuchagin winning the third, but I don't know. I just thought Joanne Calderwood won that one. Like, really watch that fight. Tell me Joanne Calderwood does not beat Ketlen Vieira in that fight. I don't know. Yeah, before that, Wood beats Lipsky. She picks up a couple wins. She's got the Calvillo fight at 15 back in 2017 as well. I believe that one was in Scotland, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, you look at her opponent here in Tyler Santos. And Santos, I feel like I picked against her a lot too. I know she beat Roxanne Modafferi in the last fight. First time I ever picked Tyler Santos, I think. She looked very good in that one. I mean, the Roxy fight, Roxanne is going to have her last fight against Casey O'Neill. Spoiler alert, I don't think that fight's going to end too well for Roxanne Modafferi, but Tyler Santos comes in there. She outstrikes Modafferi. She out-wrestles her. Santos lands 5 takedowns in that fight. Roxanne Modafferi could not do anything against Tyler Santos in that fight. That's simple. Santos was 5 for 5 in her takedowns. Pretty impressive performance. Nothing else to say about that. Jillian Robertson, more the same. It is impressive to beat Jillian Robertson no matter what, but it is even more impressive to beat Jillian Robertson at what Robertson is very good at, and it's on the ground. Tyler Santos with 13 minutes of control in that fight. She absolutely swarmed Jillian Robertson in that one, and Santos looked very good. Before that, you got the win over Molly McCann. 5 takedowns in that one. It looked very good. Before that, you got the loss to Mauro Romero Barella, and that was always the fight to me. It was like, I don't know how good Tyler Santos is. It really is, because you look at her run in the independents and on the regional circuits. She wasn't fighting good fighters at all, let's be honest with ourselves, but the Romero Barella fight, like, Mauro Romero Barella was not the best UFC fighter. Not at all. And she beats Tyler Santos. It was a split decision fight, but that's really why I was hesitant to pick Tyler Santos since then, and now she's won 3 straight fights against 3 good fighters. Okay, Calderwood and Santos, though. We know what Tyler Santos is going to do. She's going to try to grapple Joanne Calderwood and bring her to the ground, because that's really been that's what's hurt Joanne Calderwood in her UFC run. It has. The loss to Lauren Murphy was because of that one takedown. She got taken down by Jennifer Maia that lost her the fight. You've got the fight to Andrade where she got taken down and submitted. Calvillo took her down. That's really been her losses in the UFC. What Calderwood's always going to bring is a striking game. It's aggression on the feet, is the volume striking out of Calderwood. It's going to give everyone problems at this weight class, even the champ to some extent. Now, would Calderwood or Santos beat, or even Andrew Levy, Valentina Shevchenko, or Kuchagin in a rematch? No, but still, I mean, hey, you want to be on the poster, I guess, of a pay-per-view card. Probably, I would say, February's Valentina coming back around then, probably on the Izzy and Whitaker undercard, or the main card for that card. But yeah, Calderwood, Santos, we know what Santos is going to bring. It's going to be the takedowns. We know what Calderwood's going to bring. It's going to be the aggression on the feet. It's going to be the striking. It's just, can Joanne Calderwood avoid the takedowns, and even if she does get taken down, can she get back up and outstrike Tyler Santos for those moments that are on the feet? You just don't know, because Joanne Calderwood fights are always going to be close. If they go to the scorecards, they always are going to be, because Calderwood is willing to take one, to throw one. Aggressive fight style, man. I don't know, it's a close fight ever so slightly. We're going Joanne Wood to pick up the win. I think she finally gets that title shot. I think she does. Finally, she's going to break through in this one. I think it's very similar to the Lauren Murphy fight. I think it's going to be a close fight, just like the Lauren Murphy fight. But I think this time, though, the judges will go Joanne Calderwood's way. I think this is going to be a razor-thin decision victory. You might even see a split decision in this one, but we're going to go with Joanne Wood to outstrike Tyler Santos. She'll be able to get up from some of those takedowns that Santos will land, and we're going with Wood to pick up the win by decision. Bring on Valentina Shevchenko. Our next fight is Yahya taking on Kang. I've already talked about that fight earlier on in the summer. I think it was on Uriah Hall and Sean Strickland on that card. The graphics will be a little bit different considering that fight was in July, but yeah, I've already talked about the fight. Predictions exactly the same. I know it's now November, but still, I don't think anything really changes. Same prediction. We're going to roll it, and I'll see you guys for the co-main event right after. Well, if you love grappling, you're going to love this fight. Kang and Yahya. Imagine if we get a striking fight. Imagine if we get a Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman between Kang and Yahya. Imagine if that happened. Now, I think Kang would probably win that fight, but he's not that great of a striker. And Yahya, I mean, okay, Yahya can't strike for crap, but Yahya's coming off a win. He beat Ray Rodriguez in a good fight where he submitted him with an arm triangle on Edwards and Muhammad. I forget who interviewed him. I think it was DC, but Yahya saying, hey, I think it was DC, because he said the commentator motivated him to keep fighting. It might have been him or Felder. I'm not sure. Maybe Dominic Cruz, because all the announcers are honestly old, making comebacks. Cruz, Felder kind of did in DC, but or even Bisping really won the title when he was older. But Yahya was saying, "Oh, I was inspired. I'm gonna go on a run towards the end of my career. I'm gonna go out with a bang." Okay, Yahya is what, 36 years old? Yes, he's 36 years old. He's off a 1-fight winning streak, 2-fight unbeaten streak, as the UFC will like to say after he had a draw, but. Honestly, Yahya's looked pretty good, and for Kang Kwang, currently on a 3-fight winning streak, he has looked pretty good in the UFC too. And Kang Kwang, believe it or not, has been fighting the UFC since 2013. Made his UFC debut on Vanderlei Silva versus Brian Stann all the way back in March of 2013. Fought Alex Caceres first, lost that fight by split decision. But Yahya, I mean, you know what you're going to get out of Yahya. Tremendous grappling. One of the best grapplers you are pretty much ever going to see. The Ray Rodriguez fight was a prime example of that. This man has been fighting under the Zuffa banner in WEC since June of 2007. He made his WEC debut. Just think about that. He made his pro debut back in September of 2002. UFC debut all the way back on UFC Fight for the Troops #2. Main event of that card was Melvin Gillard TKOing Evan Dunham in the first round. Also, Mark Hominick was on that card. Pat Barry. I mean, just shows you how long Yahya has been around. But Kang Kwang, more of the same. Both these guys, tremendous grapplers. It is really, we will see how good Kang Kwang is. Because if Kang Kwang can really, if he can compete on the ground with Yahya, you're going to see how good of a grappler he is. Because maybe Kang does want to keep this fight standing, considering just the amount of finishes Yahya does have on the ground. 21 submission victories, 0 by KO, 6 by decision. And I can't say it enough. The Ray Rodriguez fight showed Yahya is still in this thing, and he can definitely compete with Kang Kwang. I am very pumped for this one. I think Kang's got a shot really to win this one on the ground. Even though Yahya is a monster down there, I do think he can catch Yahya in a couple transitions. If there's going to be tremendous scrambles on the ground. I cannot wait. You are going to see just an amazing jiu-jitsu fight in this one. And in a jiu-jitsu fight, you can't pick against Yahya. Yahya is going to pick up the victory in this one. Will he submit Kang Kwang? I think he does. I think he submits Kang. Kang's going to be submitted, I think, for the second time in his career. I think Yahya gets the submission win. If you're going to pick Yahya, you're going to pick him in a jiu-jitsu fight. You're going to pick him by submission. I think he out-jiu-jitsu. I think he out-grapples Kang Kwang. Give me Yahya to get the job done. I think he gets a submission win in the 3rd round. I cannot wait for this fight, though. The transitions on the ground are going to be insane. Going Yahya, though, to win this one in the 3rd round. Here we go, man. Michael Chiesa, Sean Brady, co-main event banger. I mean, props to Michael Chiesa for taking this fight, because no one wants to fight Sean Brady except for Kevin Lee. And how does Kevin Lee fit into all of this? I don't know. But Michael Chiesa, Sean Brady, I think this is such a good fight, man. Because Sean Brady, you know what he does very well. He gets guys to the ground and he submits them and he drowns them on the ground. Jake Matthews, and it was that exact game plan. The Christian Aguilera fight, more of the same, submitting him in the 2nd round. You saw his first 2 fights in the UFC. The first one against Court McGee. Sean Brady outworks Court McGee, takes him down twice in that fight, and really shows his striking as well in that one too. Something we haven't seen much out of Sean Brady, considering his past fights have been so quick, and it's been really takedowns, getting the fight to the ground and submitting his opponents. Second fight in the UFC 2, more of the same, 4 takedowns, winning a unanimous decision win over in Norfolk, Virginia on the Benavidez Figueiredo 1 card. Now, will he be able to do the same thing to Michael Chiesa? Because Chiesa's good. Now, Chiesa's defensive submission game, like, not the best, though, because he's been subbed 4 times. He's been subbed by Pettis, Lee, he got subbed by Jorge Masvidal, and Vicente Luque in his last fight. Okay, Vicente Luque is a fight away from the championship. No shame in that, but he got subbed by Vicente Luque. It was a huge win for Luque, but Chiesa has got Luque in some trouble. Luque gets out of it, and he ends up subbing Chiesa in his own right. I mean, incredible, right? Sean Brady, if he can get into a spot against Michael Chiesa where he is on top and where he is controlling positioning, he's going to have a chance to beat Michael Chiesa, 100% about it. But Michael Chiesa, if he's on top and he's the one initiating, and if he's the one out-grappling his opponent, if he's the one on top, Michael Chiesa's a problem. But if he's, if Sean Brady's controlling the pace on the ground, yeah, Chiesa's going to have some problems, man. It's a weird thing about it. Like, Chiesa's offensive jiu-jitsu game and his offensive grappling, tremendous. His defensive jiu-jitsu, though, not the greatest. Really not the greatest. You look at the winner for Neil Magny. Is it the best fight? No, it's kind of a snooze fest for 5 rounds. It kind of was, but Michael Chiesa picks up the win. 15 minutes of control in that fight over Neil Magny. I picked Magny to win. got it wrong. I mean, obviously. And before that for Chiesa, he beats RDA. He out-grappled RDA in that fight. 6 takedowns over Rafael dos Anjos. No one's controlled RDA like that. Not even Colby Covington, really. 10 minutes of control in that time, in that fight for Michael Chiesa. Before that, he's got that fight against Diego Sanchez. Should that fight have happened? No, I mean, Joe Rogan 100% had a bet on Michael Chiesa going in that fight, but still, Chiesa wins that one. Before that, he subs Carlos Condit with that nasty Kimura in the second round. He gets subbed by Pettis before that, subbed by Kevin Lee, the win over Beneil Dariush that keeps looking better and better, and then before that, variety of fights. Jim Miller's in there as well. The Masvidal lost. They had Quinta win, winning the Ultimate Fighter. All those fights, right? So that's Chiesa coming to this fight with the record of 17 wins and 5 losses. Sean Brady, though, undefeated so far in the UFC, comes into the Court McGee fight. He's 4-0. You know the grappling's good. He's got the striking when he needs it too, and pure striking wise, yeah, Sean Brady's got better power than Michael Chiesa, and I think he should be able to outstrike Michael Chiesa. But Michael Chiesa is going to shoot for a takedown, or at least he's going to initiate in the clinch, and we will see this fight hit the mat. We will see who the better grappler is in this one. I don't know who it's going to be. I really don't know who it's going to be, because Sean Brady, yeah, has he looked very good on the ground? Yeah, but it's against Jake Matthews and Christian Aguilera. Who have I seen Michael Chiesa in against, and who have I seen Michael Chiesa submit and dominate on the ground? Okay, the natural-born killer, Carlos Condit, Rafael dos Anjos, Neil Magny, Beneil Dariush, and Jim Miller. Those are some good fighters. No disrespect to the guys Sean Brady's fought, but I mean, come on. It's Matthews and Aguilera, and Court McGee's good, but that was a striking fight because Sean Brady really couldn't control Court McGee on the ground. Court McGee, a good wrestler. That wasn't the fight that Brady wanted to fight, but he, in the end, outstruck Court McGee in that one. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think Sean Brady's got better striking than Michael Chiesa. I don't think Chiesa's going to be there to be hit, though. I think Chiesa's, again, going to engage in the takedowns. He's going to engage in the clinch. We'll see. I think it should be a close fight, but I'm going to go with Michael Chiesa. I think this is somewhat of a levels fight. I think it is. I think Sean Brady's going to be great. He's 14, he's 28 years old. Michael Chiesa's been around, though. This guy's fought some of the best guys in the world. Luque, Magny, dos Anjos, Condit, Pettis, Lee, Masvidal, Dariush. He's fought some good fighters. I don't think Sean Brady's going to be the guy that's going to beat Michael Chiesa here. Brady's a top 15 fighter, no doubt about it, but Michael Chiesa's a top 10 fighter. I mean, he is. Chiesa's good, man. I don't think Sean Brady's going to beat him. I think the clinch is going to be huge. I think Chiesa's so good at offensive wrestling and so good at controlling his opponent on the ground. I don't think that Brady's going to be able to beat him. And now, if Brady lands a takedown and Sean Brady's on top against Michael Chiesa, okay, I think he's going to win. I just don't think he's going to get in that spot. Don't think he's going to get the opportunity. I think Michael Chiesa is going to show why there's levels to this game. We're going Michael Chiesa to beat Sean Brady. I think he gets it done by decision. Should be a close fight, but yeah, we're going to go with Michael Chiesa to out-control Sean Brady in this fight. Main event time, we have got Ketlen Vieira taking on Miesha Tate. I really think it's important just to focus on each fighter's last fight when we're looking at this one, because I just don't think the other fights are too relevant. Yeah, for Ketlen Vieira, sure. I mean, I'll talk about him real quick. Ketlen Vieira comes in the UFC, picks a bunch of wins. She beats Sarah McMahon by arm triangle choke in a fight where McMahon looked very good early in that first round. She had top positioning against Ketlen Vieira. She had her in full mount, but Vieira comes back and wins in the second round. The Kat Zingano fight's a close fight. Don't tell me Kat Zingano did not win that fight. Zingano won that one, but still, split decision win for Ketlen Vieira. The Irene Aldana fight, she gets knocked out very early in that one. Okay, Miesha Tate doesn't have the knockout power Irene Aldana has, so I don't think that's too relevant. I think it's relevant to the point where, yeah, Miesha Tate should be able to outstrike Ketlen Vieira, but I don't think it's relevant to the point where, okay, I'm not concerned about Ketlen Vieira getting knocked out. The Sijara Eubanks fight's closer than what you want out of Ketlen Vieira against Eubanks, definitely. Eubanks wins around in that fight. Vieira, though, in the end, it was the takedowns and it was the grappling that won her the fight, but it's a closer fight than you would like against Sijara Eubanks, who really should be fighting at flyweight. Now, Miesha Tate's fights before the Renault fight, it's a mixed bag, okay, because before the Renault fight, her last fight was in November of 2016. The Raquel Pennington fight, don't put anything into that fight. She was already halfway out the sport in that fight because she lost to Nunes, and I mean, it's Amanda Nunes. If she ever fights Nunes again, then that fight's relevant, but right now it's not. Sarah McMahon, the Rin Nakai fight's not relevant at all. Rin Nakai really wasn't a UFC caliber fighter. Sarah McMahon, she barely beats her. She beats Jessica Ai. And the Holly Holm fight, okay, she comes back after losing basically, or I think she was down, 3-1 going into the fifth. She wins the fifth round, rear naked choke. Big win, no doubt about it. But again, what does that tell you? It tells you, okay, Miesha Tate's grappling is very good. We already knew that looking back at her last fight. So I think it's very important we focus in on the last two fights. Ketlen Vieira's last fight was Yana Kunitskaya. This was on Blades and Lewis in February of this year. Ketlen Vieira loses the fight. She's going into a main event off a loss, and she's coming into a main event where she's 1-2 in her last three fights. And oh, by the way, her last win is Sijara Eubanks. But so you look at the Yana Kunitskaya fight. Ketlen Vieira thought she won this one. I didn't think she won because you look at the striking out of Ketlen Vieira. She doesn't do anything striking in that fight. It was a takedown heavy game plan. You can make the case that Yana Kunitskaya wins every single round of this fight. I mean, you go to the first round. Ketlen Vieira lands a takedown. Cool. 4 minutes of control. Sure. She doesn't do anything with it though. I mean, she controls positioning. She never attempts a submission. It's a confusing game plan. She never attempts a submission. Her striking, she throws 24 strikes compared to Kunitskaya's 83, given these were all ground strikes, but still, there's no volume out of Ketlen Vieira in that fight. Kunitskaya is doing everything really, and yeah, Vieira's got better positioning, but she's not doing anything with it. The second round, all Yana Kunitskaya, no doubt about it, all Yana Kunitskaya. Ketlen Vieira, or Yana Kunitskaya outworks in the clinch, gets her down. You got 4 minutes of control for Yana Kunitskaya in that one. Kunitskaya throws 98 strikes in that round. She's 80 for 98 in her striking. Vieira's 9 for 14. Only 14 strikes were thrown from Ketlen Vieira in that round. It's all Yana Kunitskaya, no doubt about it. The third round's where it gets tricky because Ketlen Vieira lands a takedown. Okay, cool. She throws 0 significant strikes in that round. She has 4 minutes of control. She throws 13 total strikes. And for Yana Kunitskaya, she lands 55 strikes in that round. She throws 66. Ketlen Vieira didn't do anything in that round. And Yana Kunitskaya, I believe that's the round where she busts Ketlen Vieira's like eyebrow wide open too. I thought Kunitskaya won the third round. Cool, you can get a takedown. The referee never brought him up. I think, yeah, Herzog was the referee. He never stood him up because Kunitskaya was out-voluming Ketlen Vieira on the ground, even though Vieira, like, sometimes she had 2 hooks and she had a body triangle and she wasn't doing anything with it. She never attempted a submission. So that's the confusing game plan at Ketlen Vieira. Now, you look at Miesha Tate's last fight. It's the win over Marion Renaud. Say what you want about Marion Renaud. Renaud, all that great. No, she's, 43? She's old, and Tate came in. She picked her opponent perfectly. Marion Renaud was, number 11 at the time. Perfect for Miesha Tate, because that's the fight that's the easiest fight in the top 15. It was, okay? But, especially for Miesha Tate, too. Tate comes in there, she outstrikes Marion Renaud for when she needs to. The first round, she lands a takedown, shows that, hey, I can land this takedown. The second round, she does it again. The third round, oh yeah, she does it again in the third round. She TKOs Marion Renaud. She's got back control. She finishes Marion Renaud with strikes. Marion Renaud didn't do much in that fight. Miesha Tate won every single minute of that fight. The only round that was somewhat close was the first round, but since Miesha Tate, or after Miesha Tate got used to, being back in the octagon for the first time in 5 years, she looked pretty good. Second round, she looked good. Third round, she looked very good as well, landing the takedown and again, finishing Marion Renaud. But again, it's Marion Renaud. It is. But if you look at this fight, Ketlen Vieira, Miesha Tate, okay. Can Miesha Tate take down Ketlen Vieira? 110% she can. Sometimes, though, Ketlen Vieira is okay with being on her back because, that's... You look at the Yana Kunitskaya fight, she had her back, and that's where she wants to be. Sarah McMahon fight, yeah, Sarah McMahon had top mountain in that fight and was landing bombs on Ketlen Vieira, but Vieira takes it, stays in the fight, and eventually submits her with an arm triangle. Now, Ketlen Vieira, 92% takedown defense so far in the UFC. Kind of concerning if you're Miesha Tate, considering Sarah McMahon only landed 1 takedown, given I think she shot 5. Sarah McMahon, an Olympic level wrestler, goes 1 for 5 in her takedowns against Ketlen Vieira. That's kind of concerning. I think, yeah, I'm not mistaken, I think McMahon was the only fighter to take down Vieira in the UFC. But if Miesha Tate keeps standing with Ketlen Vieira, Miesha Tate's going to win this fight, right? Now, Miesha Tate's not known for her striking, but compared to Ketlen Vieira, she's a better striker. 100%. So then it comes down to, can Ketlen Vieira take down Miesha Tate? I don't think she can. I know Raquel Pennington did, but you look at all these fights, like, again, I don't think these fights matter too much because they were so long ago. Miesha Tate's got 52% takedown defense. Okay, cool. I don't really put too much into that. It's just, for me, it's can Ketlen Vieira land a takedown, 48% takedown accuracy so far in the UFC. Sure, she landed the takedowns to Yana Kunitskaya, but she didn't do anything with it, so that brings me to my next point. Okay, Ketlen Vieira can land the takedown against Miesha Tate. What does she do with it? The Yana Kunitskaya fight, she didn't do anything. The Eubanks fight didn't attempt a submission, didn't do really anything in that one. The Aldana fight, she gets knocked down the first round. The Zingano fight, you can make the case Zingano wins that one. So the last good Ketlen Vieira fight I have seen was the Sarah McMahon fight. Where Sarah McMahon, she's got full mount, Vieira stays in it, and she wins the fight. Still, though, Sarah McMahon was a couple strikes away from winning that fight against Ketlen Vieira. I just don't think Ketlen Vieira's at really she's not the spot Miesha Tate's at. Even though Miesha Tate took 5 years off the sport, even though Miesha Tate's 35 years old now, I still think Miesha Tate's a better fighter than Ketlen Vieira. I think we're going to see a striking fight because I don't know if Miesha Tate's going to be able to land the takedown, which is fine because I don't think Ketlen Vieira is going to be able to land a takedown either. So if you cancel those two out, you get a striking fight, pure striking kickboxing. Are you taking Ketlen Vieira or you can take Miesha Tate? Taking Miesha Tate. Ketlen Vieira leaves her chin wide open in the air. You saw that in the Ariane Aldana fight. She's there to get hit. She is there to get hit. I'm not saying that Miesha Tate is going to one-punch knockout Ketlen Vieira like Irene Aldana did. She's not going to do that, but Miesha Tate is going to be able to hit Ketlen Vieira throughout 5 rounds of this fight. And I think Miesha Tate is going to be able to stay there for 5 rounds. Ketlen Vieira in the Yana Kunitskaya fight in the 3rd round was gassing a little bit. She didn't throw a single strike and she was still kind of gassing. I think Miesha Tate, through 5 rounds, Miesha Tate's saying her cardio is better than it's ever been so far in her career. I believe her. Miesha Tate, I think, is going to win this fight. I think she might win every single round in this one. Yeah, I think Vieira might have her moments, and maybe Vieira does win 1 or 2. But in the end, like, you look at this fight, Miesha Tate should win this one. And we're going to go with Miesha Tate to beat Ketlen Vieira. I'm going to say she's going to win 4 rounds to 1. I think Vieira, maybe the 1st round she wins, but as this fight progresses, Miesha Tate's going to continuously, or eventually, take over this fight. We're going Miesha Tate to beat Ketlen Vieira. I think she gets it done by decision. You look at the rest of this weight class, man. Miesha Tate, number 8. Ketlen Vieira is 7. She'll probably jump Yana Kunitskaya since Kunitskaya is now giving birth. Aspen Ladd's 5. She hasn't fought in this weight class. She's probably a featherweight now, so Tate probably jumps her. Juliana Pena's fighting for the belt. She's 4, so Miesha Tate will be number 5 with the win. She'll get a title shot with the win in this fight. If she doesn't want it, the Holloway home fight is 100% there, but I really think for the winner of this fight, or for Miesha Tate 100%, it's either the title fight with Juliana Pena or Amanda Nunes. It's going to be Nunes, but come on. It's either going to be that fight, or it will be Holly Holm for Ketlen Vieira with the win. I don't know, man, because she's already lost to Aldana. Duran Durandamy? Maybe. I don't see Tate taking the Duran Durandamy fight. I just don't see it happening, and honestly, it's a pretty good stylistic matchup for Miesha Tate if she does fight Duran Durandamy. She just avoids the striking and takes down Duran Durandamy. You remember, Duran Durandamy was getting beat by Juliana Pena on the feet and on the ground before she locked in the guillotine. So, if that fight ever does happen, I think Miesha Tate will win that fight against GDR, but still. We're going Miesha Tate to beat Ketlen Vieira. She's going to pick up the win in her 2nd UFC main event. The first one, of course, being UFC 200 against Amanda Nunes. And with this unanimous decision win over Ketlen Vieira, I think you give Miesha Tate another shot at the Lioness. Book Nunes versus Tate 2. Let's see it happen. And folks, thank y'all for watching this UFC preview and predictions. Of course, Ketlen Vieira, Miesha Tate in the main event, Michael Chiesa, Sean Brady in the co-main. Tremendous card. We'll be back in 2 weeks for our next outing in December. It will be Rob Font taking on Jose Aldo Jr. Pumped up for that card, but we get a break and a week off after this week of fights. So, again, folks, thank y'all for watching. I will see you guys in 2 weeks for that Font and Aldo card. And after that, hey, Oliveira Poirier, and then Lewis versus Chris Daukaus. The month of December for the UFC is going to be tremendous. So, all that to look forward to. Again, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down for more. And Mamba forever.